From the heart of the Space City to the heart of Gen Z, welcome to Next Gen Conversation. Not Dad's Talk Radio. Ethan talks to you about the issues and events that matter to our generation. This is the Next Gen Report with Ethan Buchanan.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome. What a week it has been. We had No Kings 2. That was a nothing burger, which isn't much of a surprise. I actually took the time to go to the first No Kings protest, and that was a nothing burger too. I decided to sit this one out. I had better things to do with my Saturday morning than go wander around and talk with a bunch of stupid liberals, so I didn't. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. It was a nothing burger. You didn't miss much if you didn't go. Let's talk about what I think is probably the biggest story on the right this week, and that is this leaking of this Young Republicans group chat in New York. So if you're not familiar with this, essentially what had happened is the Young Republicans of New York had certain members. I don't know if it was officially affiliated with this group chat, or if it was just a bunch of members of the group getting together in their own little group chat doing their own thing. I don't know. But a bunch of their members got in trouble because their group chat got leaked. And to put it mildly, they had said some things that they should not have in that group chat. All right, I think we can all do the math there. There were some jokes that, let's just say, were unsavory, but they were jokes. I mean, I'm not endorsing anything that was said, but let's be honest with what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a bunch of guys in their 20s in a group chat that said bad jokes. But yeah, that got leaked just to give you an idea of kind of how bad some of the things that were said in the group chat were. Here's some of the headlines. New York State Young Republicans disbanded after racist group chat. New York GOP suspends State Young Republicans chapter. Vermont State Senator resigns over racist Young Republicans chat message, etc., etc. So you get the idea. I believe a few N-bombs were dropped, things of that nature. Nothing that should have been said. Let's make that perfectly clear. But am I going to pile on these guys? No. No, I'm not. Because they were joking. Were they good jokes? Were they jokes that should have been made? No. But was there anything in this group chat that was an actual serious threat to our democracy? No. It was a bunch of guys making some stupid jokes in what they thought was the privacy of a group chat. That's it. That's all it was. The left will try to make this out like it's some big crisis. It's not. Nobody cares. The world spinneth onward. This stuff doesn't matter, but the left really wants you to pretend it matters. They want everyone on the right to look at some of the sarcastic jokes that were made in this group chat and say, oh, now we have to denounce everything. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. Because, 1, I don't care. 2, it doesn't matter. 3, I don't care. And 4, you don't actually care either. That's something that I think it's very important for us to remember. The Democrats actually don't care about this either. They don't. You know how I know I don't? The same Democrats that are demanding every single Republican denounce this Young Republicans group and all of its members over this group chat said nothing about the candidate for Attorney General for the Democrats in Virginia fantasizing about murdering his political opponent's children. They didn't call him to resign. They didn't call any Democrats to denounce him. But yet now they want us to denounce this random group chat of some guys. No, I don't think you're sincere, and so I'm not going to cave to your demands. I think you are trying to basically flip this on us, and I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to participate in infighting for the sake of the Democrats. Should they have made those jokes? No, probably not. They weren't savory jokes. They were harsh. They were dark humor, whatever you want to call it. They shouldn't have been made. But I don't care. There it is. So the other reason I really don't care about this is because this appears to have all been kind of a set-up inside job orchestrated to be a gotcha moment. So here's what we have from AF Post. According to 4 Republican officials, senior White House staffers urged Gavin Wax, this is the guy who leaked the group chat context to Politico, Gavin Wax was urged to retract the information he allegedly leaked to Politico's Jason Bieferman a week before the article was released. A notarized affidavit from Trump administration official Michael Bartels, stating that Wax blackmailed him to obtain the young Republican's 28,000 Telegram messages was served to the White House Office of Political Affairs on October 7th. So essentially what had happened here is this guy either blackmailed or was blackmailed into basically giving up the contents of this group chat to somebody for a political hit job. And all of this is just being done to attack the right. So I'm not going to participate in it. I don't care. I just don't. This also brings into questions of loyalty, which Matt Walsh addressed. He's been kind of at the forefront of this sort of civil war on the right that has sparked because of this. I understand your position, but I consider loyalty to friends to be one of my most important principles. It always has been. I don't denounce my friends or join in dog piles against them ever, period. Not because I'm scared to, but because I consider it an act of treachery. And this is in response to something Seth Dillon had said about all of this. So basically, this has divided the right into two fronts. And I talked about this on Twitter. This has divided the right into people that are completely content. They're comfortable being stomped into the ground so long as their principles, and the principles, as I point out in this tweet, are social pacifism. That's the principles. They don't want anybody to have hurt feelings ever, for any reason at all. I just don't care that much about your feelings. I don't. So, no, this doesn't bother me. And the other side of this are people that realize, even if I don't hurt your feelings, if I disagree with you politically, you still want me dead. Which is what we've seen from the left. That's why the left hasn't called on Jay Jones in Virginia to step out of the race, to resign, to leave public life. They're completely fine with him, even though all the things he said were infinitely worse than the things that were said in this Republican group chat. They won't call for him to resign because they actually don't care. They found a weapon to use against the right, and so they're trying to use it. I, as a member of the right, am not going to participate. I just don't care that much about this group chat. And even if I did, I'm not going to give you another weapon to use against me just because. Especially when I know you're completely unwilling to hold yourself to the same standard. All right, we got a great show coming up, a lot going on. We're going to talk in the next segment about Gaza and what's going on there and the left's reaction to it. So you're not going to want to miss it. This is a great episode. It's a great evening. I'm excited to be with you. Stay tuned. We'll be here till 8 o'clock with the Next Gen Report on AM 950 KPRC. All right, I've said it before and I'll say it again. What Donald Trump managed to do with the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas, it is objectively very impressive. It is. And here's why I say this. Nobody else did it, right? Nobody else did it. A lot of folks are trying to give Joe Biden and his administration credit or even partial credit for this. They're saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal. They're essentially downplaying Donald Trump's role in bringing peace to the Middle East because they don't like that he was the one who did it. I've seen this meme a couple of times online now. All the free Palestine leftists now have to thank Donald Trump for freeing Palestine. And the memes are true. They do. Donald Trump did do this. If so much progress was made under Joe Biden, and Donald Trump is now just taking credit for the end result, then why wasn't any progress made under the Biden administration? Literally, unless I'm missing something major, we didn't have any hostages that were returned under Biden. I may be missing it. We may have had some. But to my knowledge, when Joe Biden left office, that war was still going real strong. Real strong. And then Donald Trump comes in and we get droves of hostages returned. And then within 8 months of him being in office, we have a 20-point peace plan that Hamas mostly signs onto and returns all the hostages. This wasn't like a gradual buildup throughout the Biden administration, and then just Trump comes in on the back end and finishes the job. All of this happened under Trump. You have to give him his credit. And the left refuses to do that. But anyway, here's where we're at right now. Earlier this month, Hamas released the final 20 living hostages and began returning the bodies of those that were killed. Israel has since pulled back its forces in Gaza to an agreed-upon line. Trump said mediators will now begin working on phases 2 and beyond of the 20-point peace plan. None of that happened under Joe Biden. None of it. Not a single thing. We now have Israel pulling back out of Gaza, which is what the left wants. We have the hostages back, which is what the right wants. Everybody should be happy about this, and everybody has to thank Donald Trump for it. That's it. That's the only guy there is to thank for it. I'm fairly confident that Bibi Netanyahu, or Yahoo, or however you pronounce his name, would have been confident and happy in just leveling the entire Gaza Strip. And I'm fairly sure that Hamas would have definitely just allowed him to do it while they keep firing bottle rockets at Israel the entire time. Because that's what has been the case in this region for forever. These two sides just fight it out. Israel always knows eventually they're going to win or kill everybody, and Hamas knows they have no chance, but they're going to fight anyway. There's only one way to stop that without Gaza getting steamrolled. And that's convince them to chill the hell out so that Israel can then be convinced to chill the hell out. And that's what Trump did. Of course, the left hates that. They hate that they have to thank Trump for that. And I almost feel like they're still rooting for more fighting just so that they can campaign on it. Here's Zohran Mamdani, I don't know. It's a weird name. He is probably going to be the mayor of New York. Here he is saying, or refusing to say, that Hamas should lay down their arms, which is obviously the case. Hamas should lay down their arms. That's how this war ends. You either lay down your arms or you die with it in your hands. So unless you want to get absolutely blown out of the water, or out of the sand in this case, just put your AK-47 down and chill the hell out. Zohran Mamdani refuses to say that because he'd rather campaign on the genocide in Gaza. Take a listen.
Into one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker.
But, okay, I want to get to that, absolutely. But do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Okay.
So he won't say it. He won't say the actual terrorist organization that runs this area should just stop. He won't say that. Now, it is worth pointing out, at the same time he's saying that Hamas should not lay down their arms, he is saying that the American people should. Here he is. We need to ban all guns. Hamas, they can keep their guns. The terrorists in the Middle East, they can keep their guns. But Americans, no, stop it. Put your gun down. That's crazy. And this guy's going to be the mayor of New York. So, you know. I had mentioned the leftists that, you know, for forever had been saying free Palestine, whatever. And now Trump has, for all intents and purposes, freed Palestine. I mean, this plan that Donald Trump has crafted and Hamas has mostly agreed to, the Palestinians will be running, for the most part, with some oversight, Gaza. The Palestinian people, not Israel. Israel didn't conquer it. They blew it out of the water. But they're going to let them do their thing. We're going to have international oversight for a while until okay, yeah, you guys are chilled out now. But for the time being, they seem to have chilled out. The left doesn't care about that. Here they are at the No Kings protest yesterday, still for whatever reason going, I don't remember what it was he was chanting. Something along the lines of stop the genocide, or how many kids did you genocide today, or something like that. Or no, it was how many kids did you slaughter today? Take a listen.
Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, okay, that's it.
Again, this was after Donald Trump ended what they're calling the slaughter of children. And I'm sure children did die in Gaza. That doesn't surprise me. It's a war. Civilian casualties happen. It's a tragedy, but it's real. Blaming Donald Trump for it is ridiculous, especially when he's the one who ended it. I mean, that's what happened. Donald Trump got a ceasefire done. He did that. The Israeli army has now pulled out of most of Gaza because of Donald Trump. And the left will still blame this entire war and the civilian casualties implied in it on Donald Trump. It makes no sense. They refuse to give him the credit, even now. The prime example of this, I think, is the ladies of The View. Here is, I can't keep track of all their names. It's one of the ladies on The View. It's Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg are the only two whose names I actually know. But here's this one, this other co-host of The View, saying if Donald Trump actually ends this war, I'll wear a MAGA hat.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like, you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing.
Well, all right, so there she is making that promise. You all heard it. Now, what have we seen over the last few weeks? Donald Trump got all the hostages out. He did. They're all out, even the bodies, right? The Israeli army has pulled out. We have a ceasefire. The ceasefire is holding up so far. Cross your fingers. And she had basically a week and a half to make good on this promise, and she didn't. Yeah, I was watching the show, not by choice. It's on one of the TVs in the newsroom at work, so it's right in front of my desk. I see it every day. I don't want to, but I do. Not once did she make good on this promise. She at no point put on a MAGA hat. I don't know. There is one. I found this one clip of a left-winger, Sam Harris, actually giving Donald Trump the credit for what he did. Take a listen.
Trump got a deal done. And that's something I don't believe you believe would have happened under a President Harris.
It pains me somewhat to admit this, but yes, he's certainly been good for the Middle East and for Israel in a way that I don't think there was any reason to expect Harris to be good. And Biden certainly wasn't good, apart from the first few weeks after October 7th, or maybe a couple of months after October 7th.
That's the only clip. And he's doing it begrudgingly, but I mean, at least he's doing it. That's the only clip I was able to find. That, and I think maybe Bill Maher, but I consider him a little bit more of a centrist than an outright leftist. But nobody on the left is willing to give Donald Trump the credit for this. It's ridiculous. What more do you want from him? He's bringing you world peace, and you're still not happy. I can't believe this. All right, we got a lot more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Next Gen Report after these quick ads. All right, let's talk about this second round of No Kings protests. I do enjoy it when the left does these because it really exposes them a lot more than they think it does. Like, they think this is some big own. Look at us. We got all these people out to support us. But did you really? I talked about this at length in the first one. They got, I think, 5% of total Kamala Harris voters to show up for the first No Kings rally. Just from the videos I'm seeing of this second round that happened yesterday, it looks even smaller. We'll see what the estimates say. We'll probably talk about that on Wednesday. But there's never a huge showing. And the people that do show up are exactly who you'd expect. It's not people that are taking time off of work to come speak their mind because they believe it's important. It's the old folks, the retirees, you know, the kind of 60 to 70-year-old boomer Democrats who, they have their 401k, they have their Medicaid, they have their, whatever taxpayer benefits old people have. And they're sitting on $1 million house that they bought for 30 cents in 1952, and they're going to sell it to BlackRock when they're getting ready to go die. And they just don't care about the country anymore because it's not their problem. They can wreck the country as much as they want. They're not going to be alive to see that bill come due, so they just don't care. Old white folks primarily. Old white leftists. who I think personally have just absolutely destroyed this country. That's who I blame for most of our issues these days. But anyway, the footage that we're getting coming out of this is pretty much just exclusively these people. Take a look at this video from Tony Ortiz with Current Revolt. At No Kings protest in Carlton, Texas, it's almost exclusively old white people. Let's take a look.
Currently at the No Kings protest here in Carrollton, Texas, and it is almost exclusively all old white people. Kind of interesting demographics.
And I think this speaks to something. My generation gets a bad rap. A lot of people look at us as being woke. And I recognize being on AM radio right now, my audience is primarily folks of this age. And hey, if you're listening to this station right now, I love you guys. You're probably voting right. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. We probably share a lot of the same values, and you probably have the idea that people my age, the kind of early 20s folks, the Gen Z, you probably have the idea that our generation is super woke and your generation is not. It's almost the opposite from what I've seen. My generation, just from my personal experience, is quite a bit farther to the right than most kind of boomers and even Gen Xers that I know. I don't know why that is exactly, but that seems to kind of be the situation we're in. Just something to take note of. I feel like this round of No Kings kind of really demonstrated that. This video, this is at No Kings in Arlington. This is from WFAA. It's an ABC affiliate. Take a listen to this report, and if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see it. If you're listening, check back on Monday at my X page or the YouTube page, and you'll be able to see it. But here's this report, and again, just a bunch of old white folks.
Anybody crossing downtown Arlington must get through a gauntlet of protesters here. Hundreds of people turning out for the No Kings protest. Now, I'll tell you that...
A couple of fat millennials. I'll give them that. This one has a couple of fat millennials, but it's mostly old white people.
The mood here has been relatively light, lots of smiles, and as cars drive by, you can hear them honking in support. In spite of that, though, one protester here I spoke with today said that their message is very serious and that they hope that these images, that these messages somehow break through to the White House.
All right, let me just get out ahead of this. The White House doesn't care about this. Nor should they. I don't care about this. The only reason I'm talking about it now is I frankly think it's kind of funny that these people think they're doing anything. We don't care. The right doesn't care. I don't care how many half-dead boomers you drag out to hold up a sign that says, we don't want any kings in America. We don't have a king in America. We never have had a king in America. Just because you don't like the policies that most Americans voted for and are now being implemented doesn't mean there's a king in this country. I know that's hard for a lot of you left-wing boomers to hear, but that's the reality. The American people, by a majority, voted for these policies. If you think they're really that bad, go vote against them. But just because the president is doing something you don't like, but by voter data, most Americans do, doesn't mean you're being conquered. Doesn't mean you're losing your rights. You'll be fine. You've made it 70 years already. I promise you, Donald Trump is not going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back and ruins your entire life because he's deporting illegal aliens. Some obnoxious crap. This, I think, is funny. Here's this video of demonstrators dancing I don't even know how to describe this, honestly. It's a great example of the fact that the left really is way more ridiculous than you might think they are. Take a listen to this or watch it if you're watching right now. It's ridiculous. But hey, at least they're getting cardio, right? I mean, these are mostly old folks here. There's a young, fat, millennial-looking age person who definitely needs the cardio. So God bless her, they, them, or whatever the hell for actually putting in the work. We'll watch your fitness journey closely and hope for the best. But I mean, these old folks, you got to stay mobile, guys. You got to stay mobile. And you know, if you're an older person listening right now, you know that, you know, sedentariness, sedentarity, whatever the word is, it kills. You know, you got to get out there, you got to move, keep your joints loose. That's how you have longevity. So, hey, they're doing something productive. For the country, no, but you know, for their own physical health, I'll give them props for that. Yeah, for sure. Keep it going. I mean, these people are just so stupid. This one I think is really funny. Here's Elizabeth Warren. She's reposting a video of
country marching.
If you believe this community note is actually a 2017 protest that they found archived footage of. And she thinks this is No Kings Yesterday. Take a listen to this MSNBC report, which is from 2017, according to this community note.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that. We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC.
Now, if that note is correct, that's kind of funny that she fell for this and posted an old video claiming it was No Kings Today. She said, Boston has defined kings since we threw the tea into the harbor in 1773. All right, this is funny for two reasons. One, it's a key example of what the left always does. They have one of these in a big left-wing city, and then they tout the turnout. Look at all these leftists that showed up to this left-wing city to protest. Yeah, we know. We know there's a bunch of people in Boston, Massachusetts that hate Donald Trump. This isn't a shocker. You want your little gold star? Ooh, I got all the leftists in Boston to show up. Yeah, who cares? It's freaking Boston. I do think it is really funny, though, that now all of the sudden, they like the Founding Fathers. We've been defying kings since 1773, so now the Founding Fathers are the good guys. I thought they were terrible because they owned slaves. That's what we've heard for years, right? Basically, anybody before 1980 was automatically an evil racist. All of the sudden, that's flipped. Now all of the, 1940s World War II veterans, who statistically, most of them, and hey, props to them for winning the First World War. My great-grandfather was a World War II veteran. I hold nothing against the man. Shout out to him for what he did. Statistically speaking, most white guys in 1940 were kind of racist. I don't care. It was the 40s. But now we're treating these guys as heroes because they were the original Antifa. Every single one of them at some point in their life dropped an N-bomb, and you would have crucified them for it. But now they're heroes of the left-wing cause. It's so stupid. It's such a ridiculous double standard that they've set. The moment it's convenient for them, the crusades that they've gone on to tear down statues of folks like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, now they're just taking it all back. No, put the statues back up. We don't care they owned slaves because they fought against the king. And we're pushing this ridiculous narrative that, Donald Trump is a king because it gets the old boomers out of the house. They decided to, instead of going golfing, to go do a lap around a major left-wing city with a stupid sign because they don't like Donald Trump. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, right? Anything for the left-wing cause. These people are so ridiculous. All right, we got one more segment coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Next Gen Report on AM 950 KPRC. I'm thinking about switching that song out just to keep things excited. Let me know if you like it, if you want to hear something fresh. Shoot me a DM at _Ethan Buchanan on X, or you can actually email me as well, thenextgenreport@gmail.com. You shoot me an email, let me know, should I keep that song, should I get rid of it, or shoot me a DM on X, whichever floats your goat. I'm not picky. But I just feel like that one, of the four that I've got, that one's my least favorite. I'm ready to spice things up a little bit. So it's on the chopping block. You can save it or you can kill it. Let me know. All right. Without further ado, Let's keep going on this no kings thing. I know I said it was a nothing burger, and it is, but it gives me something to talk about. You know, anytime the left paints a target on their back, I'm happy to oblige them by making fun of them. So here's Robert Rich. This guy is a Berkeley professor, former Secretary of Labor, and also world-class idiot. Here he is giving his thoughts on the No Kings protest from inside what looks to be a diner. He couldn't be bothered to go out and actually protest himself, but he's very happy to give people a pat on the back for taking time out of their day to go do it. So here he is speaking on that.
Many of you are marching today, and I want to thank you for that, because I want to just emphasize that our leverage as citizens is to be heard, to be seen, to let our views be known peacefully, and again, patriotically. I hope you wave an American flag, and purposefully, that is, make sure that you understand and everybody around you understands that the purpose of this today is to drive home the point that we are not a monarchy. We are not being governed by a king. We are a constitutional democracy.
Wrong, not correct. You are mistaken, sir. First of all, again, this is the boogeyman that they've put up. It's like, oh no, we're being governed by a king. We're not supposed to be governed by a king. There's no king. Nobody's being governed by a king. Calm down. Quit fussing. Nobody cares. There is no king. All right? This is a boogeyman that you've created for yourself. Second of all, we are not a democracy of any kind. Not a constitutional democracy, not a democracy. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. We have a republican form of government, not a democratic one. We implement democratic systems in that you can elect your representative in that republic, but that's it. We're not a democracy. We just aren't. We are a republican form of government. Anyone telling you, oh, we have to preserve our democracy, we have to save our democracy, democracy is the key, you're an idiot. We're not a democracy. We are a republic. There's a very simple difference. Democracy is majority rule. That is not the system we have set up. That's why we have a government shut down, because we're not a democracy. The reason the government is shut down right now is because the minority party, the Democrats, have shut it down. Because the majority in the Senate, the Republicans, can't just take their 53 votes and pass whatever they want. They have to get to 60 because we're a republic. We need majority and then some. A supermajority in the Senate. We're not a democracy. We never have been. God willing, we never will be. But this guy, because he's a leftist idiot, doesn't understand that. And he has the audacity to hold up a copy of the Constitution and say, look, we're a democracy. Read that, dumbass. We're not. God almighty. I get worked up about this because I love our government. Let me rephrase that. I love our system of governance. I do not love our government. He's not done talking. Let's hear what he has to say.
And we want to make sure people understand that's what we understand, and that's what we believe, and we will demand. And also have some fun.
We want people to understand that we demand and we believe in our democracy. We're not a democracy. You're an idiot. Read the Constitution that you're waving around instead of waving it around and using it as a talking point. That's not just something for you to bludgeon your enemies over the head with. It's actually something important, and it's something you clearly don't understand. It's baffling to me how many people... He should know better. He's a former government official. He should know that we're not a democracy. He should know that we're a republic. He should know the difference, and he should know why that difference is so important. But he doesn't. He probably does, but he knows you don't, and he's confident and happy to use your ignorance as a weapon against you. Don't give it to him. Don't let him have it. All right, what else is going on? Here's Mehdi Hassan complaining about the fact that Donald Trump is deporting illegal aliens, but he comes from a family of immigrants. This is the line that the Democrats love to use. Everybody at some point was an immigrant or came from immigrants. You're right. The difference is, did we do it legally or not? And then once we immigrated legally, did we seek to build and contribute, or did we seek to suck off the system that was already there? That's the problem we have these days, is that people, one, aren't immigrating legally. And then even if they do immigrate legally, they're immigrating here legally just so that they can get on welfare and suck off of our social systems. That's not what the Irish people who came over in the late early 1900s were doing. That's not what the founding fathers were doing. They didn't immigrate into a fully formed society and then just suck off the Native Americans' welfare system. They came to this country, which was nothing, and they conquered it, and they built an amazing, beautiful system and nation. That's the difference. Mehdi Hassan doesn't understand that. He thinks anybody just showing up is equal to what the founding fathers did. Here he is basically making that point when he says how ironic it is that Donald Trump is deporting illegal aliens.
The great irony is, of course, that Donald Trump is the son of an immigrant, the grandson of an immigrant, and married to an immigrant. In fact, 2 of his 3 wives were immigrants, proving yet again that immigrants will do the jobs that even Americans are not willing to do.
Hear me out. This may be controversial, but hear me out. Maybe, just maybe, the fact that Donald Trump comes from a family of European immigrants and has married multiple immigrants, maybe that tells you that the issue with Donald Trump and most other Republicans and right-wingers, by the way, is not immigration in and of itself, it's illegal immigration. There is absolutely nobody, well, that's not true, but it's a very, very freakishly small minority of people that are saying we need to just deport every immigrant. That's not the opinion of the right, writ large. The opinion of the right is, if you broke the law to get into this country, you should be punished for that. I personally have nothing against a contributing immigrant coming into this country legally and contributing. By all means, if you want to become an American, if you love American values, you want to uphold them, you want to contribute to them, you're more than welcome to do that legally. Fill out the paperwork, wait in the line. Then you're more than welcome. You are more than welcome to become an American. I will welcome you with open arms. Congratulations if you're one of those people that have done that. I know there are several out there. Hundreds of thousands even. I applaud you for doing that. Welcome to the family that my ancestors built for you. We're happy to have you. Please contribute, participate. But if you're trying to sneak across the Rio Grande River, work a day job, and send cash back to Mexico, why? What the hell? I can't speak. I'm sorry. No, the answer is no. You don't get to sneak across the border and then just siphon off the United States to benefit the country that you can't develop. That's not how this works. The answer is no. I'm not interested in that. I don't want you in my country. And this is my country. My ancestors worked for it. My ancestors built it. My ancestors set it up, fought for it, bled and died for it. If you want to be part of that legacy, you're more than welcome to. If you want to get on board with that, if you want to contribute, if you want to work and sweat and quite possibly die for this country because you believe in the values that are at the heart of it, I welcome you with open arms. But if you want to sneak across, break the rules to get here, and then just use it to benefit yourself, the answer is no. The answer is no. You will be deported. Goodbye. Have a nice flight back. That's all I've got for you this week. Thank you very much for listening to the Next Gen Report. We'll be back on Wednesday. Give me a follow on X @_Ethan Buchanan. Thank you very much.